This chapter is about the customer. The customer is the person who pays you the money that helps you run your business so that you can make a profit. It's important to understand the customer, and so to get a better insight on who a customer is and how they work, I've got Chris Long from Chris Long Advertising. Chris has helped our company for over 12 years develop our marketing and advertising strategies and implement those as well. So thank you for joining me, Chris.
It's a great pleasure. Thanks, Gavin.
What is a customer?
Well, I think you sort of summed it up quite brilliantly a little bit earlier on. It's probably the most valuable asset in your business. It's the person who actually ends up paying for your goods and services that you offer. And as I said, the customer is incredibly important to a business. And more importantly, it's probably actually understanding who your customer, which is even more important.
So somebody in business, is everybody my customer?
Well, no, Gavin, and it's a current failure of many businesses. They all think that everyone is their customer, and the problem with that is that if you go and try and chase everybody, you end up diluting, actually what you're offering. So it's very, very important, and this is what we did with your business, was to actually define exactly who your customer is. And I don't mean that's just in a general broad sense, like it's males 25 to 54. It's really, when you're starting out in business, defining exactly who you want to attract. And when I often do this exercise, I say, well, you've got to, if you are, for example, a pool cleaning business, people, say, when I work with them, they will say, is everybody with a pool? Well, it's not. Actually, it's you need to really define it, who exactly what you want. So it may be, if you're a pool cleaning company in the eastern suburbs, you may say, well, my typical ideal customer that I really want is a male who's 32. Maybe he's quite affluent. He obviously owns a pool, but he's very busy. Doesn't have time to clean the pool. His kids won't help him clean the pool, and he hates spending his time, or he doesn't have the time on the weekend to clean his pool. So he's looking for someone who can come out and help him with that service. And in fact, I like to give him a name. And so I don't know who your typical customer is, but for this one you might say the typical customer's name is Derek.
So how am I going to find Derek? So I'm sitting there, I've got a van full of pool cleaning equipment, and I've been well trained, and I've got the best chemicals possible, and I'm really wanting to do a good job out of there. How do I go and find Derek?
Well, there's two ways of going about doing that, but I just want to sort of talk about specifically about Derek. As I said, if you can define him, and what I often get business owners to do is to find even a picture, what they think of Derek, or how he might actually look, and cut him out of a magazine and put him in the drawer, so that when you're in your office and you're thinking, okay, I know who my customer is, and if somebody from the business comes in and says, hey, I think we could improve this and we should go down this track, or an outside supplier comes in and says, hey, I think you should be advertising this way, or come on board doing this, you need to pull out the drawer, look at your picture of Derek and say, Derek, would you like this new idea? Would you be appreciative? Would this motivate you to pick up the phone and ring me? So you've got to be really quite specific. And I call that knowing where the bullseye is of your customers. Right? You need to know who the center of the bullseye is. What is their name? What is their age? Where do they live? And what is the problem that you are trying to solve for them? And a lot of the time, businesses get very worried about saying, "Oh, Chris, that's just being too specific." Well, I say, unless you know where the centre of the bullseye is, and you're aiming for the bullseye, you're going to miss it.
Okay, well, I've got my business, I've got my van, and I've got the cleaning equipment, and of course the chemicals, and I've been trained very well. And I was lucky. Derek, the first Derek, walked in my door and happened to say, I saw the sign on the side of your van, and I'm Derek, and can you come and clean my pool? What can I learn about Derek to tell me where the other Dereks are? What can Derek teach me? What can I ask him?
Well, you need to start to really listen to him. And because, as I said, every business is in the business of solving a problem, and that's what we did, with you, and we continually do with you, is to encourage the business owner to go out and actually talk to their customers. And it's surprising, as businesses grow up or get busier and busier, they lose that ability to be able to talk to the customer and understand the customer. They get so bogged down with, how's my shop front look, or, I've got this problem with my staff, or someone wants to take leave or whatever, that they lose complete focus and attention on the customer. And the moment you stop listening to the customer and stop understanding the customer, that's when your business starts to go really wrong. And when people start in business, they're actually quite good at doing it because they don't have many other things. You think about yourself when you start off in business. The only real attribute or asset you have is the ability to actually listen and understand your customer. Later on, you get busier and you get more and more staff, and then people lose that ability to sit down and chat with them. And I think I've said to you on a couple of times, Richard Branson from Virgin, he loves to still go down the back of the plane and sit with the people in the economy class and listen to them and ask them, what do you think about this? What do you think about our service? Because he wants to get that vibe. And the problem is when a lot of businesses do get really big and they lose that ability to talk and communicate with the customer and understand them, they have to rely on things like customer research, which is a very dangerous thing because you're then outside of that ability to have a one-on-one and you're relying on a third party. So I do encourage you, like when we started with you, I would say to you, who exactly is the customer who would appreciate the services that your business aims at?
As your business grows, is it a case of that you make everybody aware of the client? Is everybody client focused, or are we just focusing on our sales staff, our reception staff?
And this is another common problem a lot of businesses they think is, we segment the businesses and say, well, it's just the people in our sales who deal with customers, or it's just the people who serve on the shop floor who deal with customers, and I don't have to deal with that. And the problem is with that, it should be weaved throughout the whole organisation, this ability to deal with a customer. It's not, from the receptionist even to the office boy. I always say with my staff is, okay, what have you done this week in the business to satisfy or delight a customer?
So as your business is established, you can actually then identify who your ideal client is or your ideal customer is.
Yeah, well, and they do change and move, but as I said, you need to sort of think about, centre of the bullseye. And this is a very hard concept because people say, oh, well, that's too limiting, Chris. It's going to cut down my number of, I want to grow and grow the business. I want more and more customers. And I'll give you a little observation about how this can actually go wrong. I have near me a cupcake shop, and they set up, and the little cupcakes that they sell and all sorts of things. So they thought they knew it was passing by customers who wanted a little inexpensive treat to sit down and enjoy a nice cupcake. So they thought, well, to attract more customers, what we'll do is also offer coffee, which is like, I can understand that, coffee and a cake, that makes sense. But then I noticed in the next couple of months when I went past, they were now selling a range of magazines because they thought, well, to attract more customers, we need more things. So they started to sell magazines, cupcakes and coffee. And then they thought, well, to attract even more customers, we'll do up our outdoor eating area. So we'll put some plants in, which is fine and fair enough. But they thought, well, we'll also sell the plants. So now they're selling plants. And then they thought, well, to attract more customers, we'll also sell some garden ornaments to go with the plants. So over a period of 6 months, a beautiful little cupcake shop became a shop that sold cupcakes, coffees, magazines, plants, garden ornaments. And then they wondered why their cupcake business was going down the chute. Because they were getting too diverse. They were getting trying to do too many things to attract too many customers.
Where if they'd known their customer, they'd know what the customer was really coming for in the first place.
Yes, and more importantly, when you do that, when you focus on the customer, and if, for example, the cupcake shop, what you should be doing is making the best cupcakes in Melbourne or Sydney. That should be your focus. I know who the customer is who appreciates cupcakes. Now, well, maybe I could do birthday cupcakes, or wedding cupcakes,
But keep with cupcakes.
Keep with cupcakes. Become a specialist in that area. And that's the problem, is that when people start to try and appeal to more and more people, they add on or bolt on more and more things they think. And it's quite easy to do. You start slipping away from what the core of what you should be famous for.
Is it as simple as saying to a client, can you remind me why you came here? I mean, obviously find another way to say it, but
Yes.
just remind me, why do you come here all the time?
Yeah.
You know, what products do you like? What attracts you to
What
the
am
business?
I doing well? Yeah, and chat with them.
Yeah.
And so you don't have to rely on market research. You know, that's why I always encourage the CEOs or the business owners to actually, you know, get down the back of the plane or serve the coffee in the cupcake shop, or, you know, talk to the customers, because it's so important to find out what they want.
Chris, you've used with me terms like loyalist,
Yes.
and an apostle in
Yes.
terms of clients. Are these special awards or badges or something?
Well, it's a bit of
that feel-
marketing speak, but as anybody in business knows, you do get a broad range of customers, and not all customers are the same, and nor should you try and appeal to as many ones. And at some point, you need to get rid of actually some of your customers. But the ideal, and as you're talking about apostle and loyals, there's two types of customers that you really want, and they're called apostles and loyalists. Both very similar, but the loyalist is your ideal type of customer. They're the ones who appreciate what you do. You're satisfying them. They will remain, as I said, the name loyal to you, and use you over and over again. Pay you on time. So they're ideal. The even more supreme type of customer is your apostle, and they used to be loyalists, but now the difference is they want to tell the world about how fantastic you are. You know, so they don't just appreciate your business, they want to tell the world and brag about it. And that's one of the things I try and encourage businesses is to work out who are your loyalists and who has the potential to become an apostle, to go out and encourage them to go out and talk about you and refer you. Ask for referrals.
On the other end of the scale, you've also used the term troublesome and hostage.
Yes, that's right. You also have customers in your business which are I called terrorists. And the terrorists are the ones that you don't want. And they're the ones who, no matter how hard you work or whatever you offer them, they'll always complain. They're never satisfied about you. And more importantly, like the reverse of the apostle, they go out and tell the world, you know, how bad you are. So you need to work out what categories your customers fall into, and treat the ones who are loyalists, treat them incredibly well, solve their problems faster, that they can become apostles. And the ones that are defectors, the people that flip in, flip out, or worse, terrorists because they hate your service or your products and tell the world, you need to get rid of them, because you end up spending most of your time with them. Mm-hmm. And it's very easy, because you think, oh, I've got so many great customers who are so loyal to me, I don't have to, they'll just keep coming back. But you need to be on top of them and reward them for their loyalty as well.
Chris, this is about how not to commit business suicide. Have you got a quick summary for me, or a couple of the key points in regards to dealing with customers that are important to keep your business well and alive and successful?
Listen to them. And as the business owner, don't be afraid to talk to them. You know, a lot of people are, very hostile towards their customers. They see them a bit of a pain in the ass, but the customers are the ones that obviously, pay the bills and will grow the business. And, don't be afraid to work on existing customers versus new customers. As they say, statistics show that it costs 9 times more to find a new customer than to work on an existing customer. And don't be afraid to ask for the next order. If you have a great customer who loves you, who's a loyalist, don't be afraid. I know in Australia people just don't like doing this, is to ask for the extra sale. And the best time to do that is just before you're finishing the current job or current transaction. And I'll give you another little story. Exactly happened to me. It was fantastic. It was from an electrician who came out to put some extra power points in our sockets and some antennas in the wall in our office. So he came out and spent the morning doing all of that. And just when he was winding up, he looked up and saw there was a couple of downlights that were blown in my office. So without me asking, he went up and just replaced them. And they're only $15 or whatever it is. But it was great level of customer service. And he said, look, and I've just repaired that for you. It won't charge you anything more. But more importantly, he went on, I thought that's great. He said, when I was repairing them, you do know you've got the old model, and there's a whole bunch of new LEDs out there which could cut your power bills down by 40%. And we can do that, and it's quite inexpensive to do. And, would be around in your area probably, in a couple of weeks. I don't know if you'd be interested or not. So he's asking for the follow-up order after that order. So that's what you need to do. Don't be afraid to ask for the next order when you're finishing off a job. Because a lot of people think, customer satisfaction is all about doing the job, signing it off, finished, and please may they come back at some stage. But you don't. You've got to actively ask them all the time.
Okay, well, Chris, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
How would someone get hold of you if they want to talk about customers and advertising and marketing further?
Ring Gavin, buy his book, and he'll pass you on.
Okay, thank you very much.
No worries, Gavin.